Okay, we have on the board here today integral of x to the 14th over square root of x to the 10th plus 1 dx. And we've got a few issues. We got a kind of a big power in the numerator, and we have kind of a messy denominator. So let's see if we can clean this up. I'm going to do a u substitution. Let's try u equals x to the 5th. The reason I want to do that is that's going to turn this piece right here into a u squared, which I think is going to work nice. And then we can do a trig sub later. Then, so let's see, our du is going to be 5x to the 4th dx. Let's just solve this for dx. So this is going to be dx is going to be du over 5x to the 4th. Okay, good. Now let's substitute. So we're going to have our x to the 14th in the numerator. In the denominator, we're going to have u squared because if we put that u equals x to the 5th, then u squared is x to the 10. We're going to have u squared plus 1. And our dx is going to be du over 5x to the 4th. And for the next step, we can take a 5 up front. This will be a 1/5 in front of our integral. And x to the 4 and x to the 14 is going to cancel and leave an x to the 10th. But we already determined over here that x to the 10th is going to be u squared. So we're going to have in our numerator u squared, square root of u squared plus 1 in the denominator, and du. Next we'll do a quick trig substitution. We're going to call our u as tan of t, and that's going to make our du secant squared t dt. So then rewriting this, we're going to have 1 over 5. U squared is going to be tan squared of t. Our du is going to be this business, so it's going to be secant squared t dt. In our denominator, we're going to have, this is going to be tan squared t plus 1, but that's the same thing as secant squared t, but it's in a square root, so it's just going to give us a secant of t. So that's going to allow us to cancel one of these with one of these. So then we're just left with this trig integral. What I'm going to do for this tan squared of t, what I can do is I can rewrite this as secant squared t minus 1 and distribute it with this secant t here. So what we're going to be left with is 1/5 integral of, when I multiply this together, we're going to have secant cubed t minus secant t dt. And these are both well-known integrals, so let's just do this real quick. We're going to have 1 over 5. Integral of secant cubed t is going to be 1/2. Let's see if I can remember this. 1/2 secant t tan t plus 1/2 ln secant t plus tan t. That's interesting because this is very similar to what we have for our secant t, which is going to be minus ln the same thing, secant t plus tan t. Oops, absolute value goes over here. So then this is basically just, we have minus 1 of them and a half of them. So we actually end up with, what we can do is we can change this plus to a minus here and just remove this chunk over here. And so now we have a value in t. We just need to roll this back to get it back to x. Let's just recall what we did for a substitution. We had u equals x to the 5th, and then we did u equals tan of t. So what we can say is that tan of t equals x to the 5th. But what we're going to need is we're going to need a value for secant. Let's just write out our little triangle to see what our secant's going to be. So tan of t is x to the 5th. That means we could write the opposite side as x to the 5th, and this adjacent side as 1. So that's going to make hypotenuse x to the 10th plus 1, just using Pythagorean theorem, squaring this and squaring this. So our value for secant t is going to be just hypotenuse over adjacent, so it's just going to be square root of x to the 10th plus 1. Okay, so now we just need to back substitute everything back up here. And what I'm going to do, let's distribute this 1/5 in here. And so we're going to have 1 over 10 secant t, which is square root of x to the 10 plus 1. Our tan t is x to the 5th. So let me write it. Okay, let's write it right here. That's fine. Then we're going to have minus 1/10 ln, and then again, same values for secant and tangent, so we'll just write those in. We'll have square root of x to the 10th plus 1 plus x to the 5th. Absolute value. Just need a plus c. Box our answer, and we're done. So that's it. Make a substitution and simplify some ugly exponents. That's our solution. So thanks for watching. Please like this video and subscribe. Have a great day.